Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. I posted in the community tab a couple of days ago and I asked you guys to let me know what questions you might have about my job as a software engineer, any personal questions, and I only got 2 questions. But this video cannot be 2 or 3 minutes long, so I have a mixture of questions that I was asked and some questions that I made up. While you're watching this video, if you have any other questions, let me know down below. So let's just get started with question 1. So the first question I received is, what are some challenges you faced as a beginner software engineer? So I've been a full-time software engineer for about 2 years, which is kind of crazy to think. I graduated college in 2021. And a challenge that I come across is debugging. Problem solving is essential as a software engineer, but it can be very frustrating and time consuming. Like, there's been a couple of days where I'll be online debugging. I get off work around 4:30, and I'll be online until like 9 or 10 p.m. because I can't sleep because this bug is bugging me. Like, literally, I can't fall asleep. And it can be so frustrating sometimes, you know? So as a beginner, you might struggle with identifying and fixing errors, but as time goes on, you'll get better at it. If you received an error twice, you'll know what to do because you solved it last time, or you might not, receive that error again because your code is perfect. Who knows? But that's one challenge I face. Another challenge I face is writing efficient and maintainable code. In college, you're kind of just trying to solve a problem, and it's just like, oh, the code works, right? But you have 4 nested loops, and that's just not good enough when you're working for a company. You want to make sure that you're writing clean code. So sometimes it can be difficult to write efficient code, especially if you're dealing with like a complex problem or you're handling like a large amount of data. That can be challenging sometimes. But again, with more practice, you'll get better. So the ugly truths about breaking into tech that no one talks about. Well, the only 2 ugly truths that I really know about is what has already been talked about and people know, is that there's a lack of representation of women and other minority groups in the tech industry. I remember in my coding classes, I was the only girl in a lot of my coding classes, and I was the only Black girl in my coding classes. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to be in tech. There's just not a lot of people that look like me. So it just gives me more motivation just to be better and be a role model for others. And it's just really sad to think about, I was the only girl, the only Black girl in my class. That's just really sad. Majority of my classes, it was just white and Asians. That was it, white or Asians. Another thing people talk about is the pay gap, right, between men and women. And I knew about it, but I didn't experience it until my first internship. I'm gonna make this story really short, but basically, for my first internship, I was paid $18 an hour. And boy, I was happy. I was like, whoa, you offered me $18 an hour? I didn't even negotiate. I should have probably negotiated, but I was just so excited. I was like, oh yeah, that's great. Because at the time I was only making $10 an hour with my on-campus job. And a lot of the interns, we were trying to figure out how much we all got paid. We were really comfortable telling each other. And this one guy got paid $24 an hour. And I was like, So we're like, wow, all of the guys are making more than us. And some of them did deserve to, I'm not saying that this person didn't deserve, but a lot of them did have prior internship experiences. I was a sophomore at the time, they were junior senior, so yeah, they're gonna get paid more. But this particular person, we were both sophomores. This was our first internship, so we had no experience. We're both from the same school. Location is not even a factor because we were both at Temple, which is in Philly. But the thing is, he was making 24 and I was making 18. And I was a cybersecurity engineer at my internship, and he was a business analyst. So he wasn't even an engineer. So we were like, how is he making more than all of us? Especially me, because we were in the same year. I don't know what happened, but they offered him more for some reason and they offered me less. So that's, that's my experience with the pay gap. So how difficult is it to land a tech job without a degree? So I personally don't know how difficult it is because I have a tech degree, but I know plenty of people who switched careers and now they're a software engineer. For instance, my friend Sierra, she went to school for arts, I believe, and now she's a software engineer, and she went to a coding boot camp. So if I were you, I would apply for those programs, but also look for junior level software engineering jobs. Look for engineering jobs that require little to no experience, 0 to 1 experience. Those would be great for you. If you weren't in the tech industry, what profession would you do? Growing up, I loved Law and Order SVU. I love Monk. It's a jungle out there. It's a jungle out, bum, 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 ba-dum. Okay, only a few will know what I'm talking about. If you know what I'm talking about, give this video a thumbs up or let me know down below. But I loved Monk, I loved The Closer. And I was like, I really want to be a homicide detective. I wanted to be a homicide detective. I was doing some research, I'm like, okay, how do I become a detective? And it said, you had to be a police officer. I was like, oh no. I do not want to be a police officer. So my dreams went crashing down. But if being a cop wasn't required, I definitely think that I would be a homicide detective because I love problem solving, hence why I'm an engineer now. But I used to love Law and Order SVU, love it. So that's what I would do. So how many languages do you need to learn? So there is no set number of languages you should know. I think it's best to be proficient in at least one language. That language of your choice could be Python, Java. Python is pretty easy to learn, especially if you're very, very new to coding. Python is a good language to learn, Java. But don't feel like you need to learn languages just for the sake, right? I'm just gonna learn 10 because, you know, just for the sake of it. Don't do that. I think it really depends on what you want to do. So if you are interested in front-end development, you might want to learn React or Angular or HTML and CSS, right? If you're interested in, you know, mobile app development, you might want to learn Java and Kotlin and Swift, right? So it really depends on you and what you want to do, but at least be proficient in at least one language, right? How did I get my job? Well, in college, I was emailed by the company I'm working for now, and they were doing this on-site hiring event, but it was through Zoom, and they're looking for women in tech, only women. So they emailed me a coding challenge. I had to solve maybe 5 to 7 problems. I finished that, I passed, and I got an invite for a hiring event. So that day, I had to do a behavioral and technical interview. Finished with that, a couple of days later, I got an offer. So I didn't even apply, I got an email. So I found this question online, can you do CS when you're not good at math? You don't need anything more than basic algebra to be a CS major. I think that's one big misconception. I don't do any calculus, I don't do any differential equations at my job. I'm just trying to solve problems. I'm just trying to fix errors, okay? I think the most important thing is that you're analytical and that you can problem solve. That's really it. I don't do any math. What do I like the most about being a software engineer? For me, it's the creation. Taking a problem, figuring how to solve it, and then creating software to solve that problem. And seeing it visually is really, really satisfying, and it makes me feel good. And I know I focus on full stack like I said before, but I really love front end. I just love designing. I like making things look pretty. And I feel like with back end, I know a lot of people do like back end. I don't like it. I can't see anything. But at least when I solve a problem, I can actually see my solution, right? I can see it. But honestly, it's just the fact that I'm creative when I'm at work, because I do a lot of like UI updates, UI changes. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you guys have any more questions down below, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!